Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings upon each and everyone who hears or sees this video. I want to start by saying La ilaha illallah wa shadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. I bear witness there's no God other than Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is his final servant and the seal of all prophets. A couple of weeks ago, I called into an Islamophobic internet show titled the Jinn and Tonic Show. The Jinn and Tonic Show. And periodically I tune in just to see what they're saying. And so a couple of weeks ago, I was leaving the masjid and I was listening to their conversation, and they were talking about apostasy in Islam and Sharia law. And I was so uh, disturbed by the things that they were saying, taking things totally out of context, and basically had some guys on that were talking about this as though they were authorities on the subject, on these subjects, and they were actually limited in their knowledge, extremely limited in their knowledge. They basically had no knowledge whatsoever about what it was they were talking about, other than having heard these terms before. So it seemed. And so I tried to call in at that time. I could not get in. And so I recently called in and spoke to a couple of these individuals who use anonymous names. And so therefore they're hiding behind the internet, basically. They are Islamophobes, despite their efforts to try to convince people that they are not. They are Islamophobes. They do have a hidden fear of Islam, an irrational fear of Islam. They attack Islam on a weekly basis. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the last portion of this interaction between these guys. It's about a 2-hour video altogether, but I'm going to play just the last portion to give an example of the type of dialogue that these guys engage in and the tactics that they utilize. And so we were primarily talking about verses of the Quran towards the end there. Anyways, we were talking about verses of the Quran in Surah Fusilat, the 41st Surah of the Quran, verse 11, and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making mention of the earth and the basically the origin of the universe. And so we'll get into that here in a second, but I want to make note of something before we get started, which is I simply just got online, anyone could do this, and looked up definition of smoke for this particular video. And Merriam-Webster dictionary says that smoke is the gaseous products of burning materials, especially of organic origin, made visible by the presence of small particles of carbon. The next thing, it says a suspension of particles in a gas. Keep that in mind. A suspension of particles in a gas, and also the gaseous products of burning materials. Down here it says fume or vapor, often resulting from the action of heat on moisture. Let's go to gas and see what does it say. It says a gaseous substance that cannot be liquefied by the application of pressure alone. Right here it says a flammable gas used as a fuel. Okay, and let's go to the difference between smoke and gas. Many people are confused between smoke and fume because of their similarities. It says smoke is a gaseous state of tiny particles of solid and liquids. Once again, smoke is a gaseous state of tiny particles of solids and liquids. Let's go to the Quran, and what I have here is a translation of the Quran by Ali Onal. And I had this translation and this translation sitting right beside me when I was talking to these guys. I just didn't open them to actually verify what they said, because to me it's common knowledge that gas and smoke are very similar in makeup, right? They're basically the same thing in many contexts. So what is this picture depicting? It's exhaust fumes, right? What are fumes? They're basically smoke. It looks like smoke. I made this point to these guys during this video. Smoke is a gaseous state of tiny particles, right? Looks like smoke. What is it inevitably? A burning gas. Okay, we've already demonstrated that. Let's go to the verses of the Quran that we were talking about. Here's a site on Miracles of the Quran, Expanding the Universe. What does it say here? It says astronomers just confirmed the existence of dark energy, a mysterious repulsive force that acts in opposite to gravity. As the distance increases, the attractive gravitational force decreases, but the mysterious repulsive force increases. This repulsive force is pushing galaxies apart. The greater the distance, the greater the repulsion. Scientists today do not know what the dark energy is, but they know that it is causing the entire universe to expand at an increasing rate. What does the Quran say about this? In Surah 51, verse 47, "And the heaven, we built it with craftsmanship, and we are still expanding it." Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I didn't mean to bring that up, but praise be to Allah who brought that up. Let's get into the video by these guys, this interaction. We'll get into some other things here shortly.
In geology or something, where the earth talks?
No, but what I'm going to do, watch this. It says, because the earth and the heavens above have been formed from that same smoke, we conclude that the earth and the heavens were one connected entity. Now listen what it says. Then out of that homogeneous smoke, they formed and separated from each other. And it says, God.
Do you know what smoke is? Do you know what smoke is?
It says, Allah in the Quran says, listen to the sarcastic and just simply hateful attitude that this guy has. Once again, he's a guy who goes by the name. I'm not even going to mention his so-called nickname or whatever. I'm not even going to mention his name, but it's an anonymous name, and once again, they're just hiding. They're Islamophobes. They're hiding. Have not those who disbelieved known that the heavens and the earth were one connected entity, and then we separated them?
They were not. This is also wrong.
Prove it.
It's
well, I tell you what. Then you debate with Dr. Alfred Kroner, who's one of the world's renowned geologists, about this. And
he says this.
He's a professor of geology and chairman of
I know. I spoke to him.
The Department of Geology at the Institute of.
He's in Mainz. He's at the University of Mainz. I know him. Right. I spoke to him.
Okay, and he said, this is a quote. Before we get into that quote, let's go into what the Quran says. Once again, that's this Quran right here that's sitting right beside me by Ali Unal, and here's a smaller version, not the same translation, but let's go into what it says in Surah 41, verse 11. Here's verse 11 right here at the top. It says, "And he directed his knowledge, will, power, and favor to the heaven when it was a cloud of what? Of gases." You see this? Gases. Other translations by Abdullah Yusuf Ali says smoke. But inevitably, the smoke and the gases are the same composition, and ordered it and the earth, saying, "Come, both of you, willingly or unwillingly." They said, "We have come in willing obedience." Alhamdulillah. Let's go to the smaller version of the Quran. This version right here that I'm holding in my hand. This is the version that I give out when I'm doing dawah. It doesn't have the Arabic. Of course, the Quran is only the Quran in the Arabic language when it's being recited. It's not paper and ink, but this is a translation that I give out when I'm doing dawah to people so that they can read it. So let's see what it says about this. It says in verse 11, here's where it picks up verse 11. I'll zoom in on it, pick it up right here, over here on the right. It says, "Then he turned to heaven when it was a vapor, and said to it and to the earth, Come willingly or unwillingly." Once again, let's go to these definitions. And smoke is the gaseous product of burning materials. It's down here it says a fume or vapor often resulting from the action of heat or moisture. A mass or column of smoke. What is smoke? So a suspension of particles in gas, right? What does it say here? What is gas again? We've already said it. Flammable gas used as a fuel. Gaseous substance that cannot be liquefied. What's the difference? It says many people are confused between smoke and fume or gases because of their similarities. Smoke is a gaseous state of tiny particles. Let's pick it back up and listen to what these guys are saying. Where Muhammad came from, I think it is most impossible that he could have known about these things like the common origin of the universe, because scientists
Exactly.
because
It's impossible that
because
he knew this.
right, because scientists have only found out within the last few years with a very complicated and advanced technological methods that this is the case. Okay, now watch what he's fixing to try to do. He's gonna try to state that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, could not have known this. He's making a fool out of himself, because the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, actually did not know this information until what? Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, our creator, revealed it to him through the Quran. Just like every other revelation to mankind has come through prophets to mankind. Peace and blessings be upon all the prophets. So listen to what he says about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so
Yes,
what's it referring
this is
to?
what he said.
Right.
He said it's impossible for Muhammad to know this, which is correct.
Right. So I know,
That's why Muhammad was
I know
wrong.
what you're
That's
trying.
why the Quran is wrong.
I know what you're trying to say in your sarcasm. So he's trying to say that the Quran is wrong because no man could have known this. Over 1,400 years ago, no man could have known this information. Only our God, our Creator, could have known this information, and He revealed it through the angel Gabriel to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Praise be to Allah. But I totally disagree. Also, he said that
I'm just looking at facts.
okay,
Okay,
so
listen. What is smoke? Do you know what smoke
the
is?
Dr. Alfred Kroner goes on to say, it says
It doesn't
somebody
matter
who
what
did-
he says.
somebody-
What is smoke?
No, he's
I don't care what Alfred says.
Right. That's the point.
me-
That's my point right there. That's my point. It doesn't matter what the truth is. You don't care. You're gonna argue.
it doesn't
That's the
matter what
point.
Alfred
That's the
Kroner
point.
says.
Thank
Tell
you.
me what
Thank you.
smoke
I'm done with it because that's the point. That is the point. Now check this out. Scientific miracles of the Quran. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? Let me zoom in on it so you can see it better. Allah says in the Quran, "We shall show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves until it will become clear to them that it is the truth. Does it not suffice that your Lord is witness over all things?" I'm going to read it again. "We shall show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves." The signs are in the science. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The signs are in the science. But you have to open your mind up to be able to consider what's being said and what's being revealed over 1,400 years ago before modern technology confirmed these things. The signs are in the science, not only in in nature itself, but in the human body itself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in the sixth surah of the Quran, Surah Al-An'am, in the 111th ayah or verse? It says, "Even if we did send unto them angels, and the dead did speak unto them, and we gathered them together, all things before their very eyes, they would not believe unless it is in Allah's plan. But most of them ignore the truth." Once again, even if we did send unto them angels, and the dead did speak unto them, and we gathered together all things before their very eyes, they would not believe unless it is in Allah's plan, but most of them ignore the truth. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Why does it say unless it was in Allah's plan? Because Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, He says, "As for those who disbelieve, it matters not if you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe." It matters not if you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. Allah has set a seal over their hearing, and over their heart, and over their eyes is a veil. Woe to them for the penalty that they incur. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no compulsion in religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to force these people to believe. Even Allah, our God, our Creator, is not going to force these people to believe. So in that way, He sealed off His efforts towards them in regards to He's not going to force them. So their hearts are sealed because their hearts are not going to change. They hear, but they don't hear. They see, but they don't see. Period. As for the scientists that back everything that the Quran says, there's many scientists that have confirmed the Quran in modern technology. What was revealed over 1,400 years ago, modern science has confirmed it. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, such as Professor Emeritus Keith L. Moore, which these guys during this conversation totally discarded as though he was just a joke. The Dr. Alfred Kroner, who this guy is just now saying he doesn't care what Dr. Alfred Kroner says. Dr. Prasad, Dr. Kroner is from Johannesburg, Germany, or Mainz, Germany rather. Dr. Prasad is from the University of, he's actually from Canada. And so the Dr. Simpson is actually here in Houston, Texas. Dr. Marshall Johnson is with the University of Philadelphia. Dr. Hay with the University of Colorado. Goringer with the University of Washington. Kozai with the University of Tokyo. To Jason with Chiang Mai University in Thailand. Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. And you can find references or quotes from each of these individuals where they're actually speaking themselves, not written text. They're actually speaking themselves. You can find that in the videotape. This is the Truth. It's titled This is the Truth. For a copy of this, you can find organizations that provide this videotape on page 69 of the book, which is titled A Brief Illustrated Guide to Understanding Islam, which is in my hand right here. This is another one of the books that I give out when I'm giving dawah. So let's pick back up where these guys are talking.
You don't care because when the truth is staring you in the face, you hear but you don't hear, and you see but you don't see. That's
He did not say what you say he says.
I just read it quote for quote. This is Dr. Alfred Kroner.
He said it's impossible.
No, he didn't say right. He said it's impossible
Okay,
that a man
forget about
that
this.
would have.
Okay,
You understand
this
the
what-
context of what he said? He said he's saying that it's impossible that a man could know this.
Yes.
Therefore, right, a man couldn't know this, but our God, our Creator, that gave him this revelation, knew it. The Prophet Muhammad.
Well, he didn't.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be
He
upon
did
him,
not
was
know
only
this.
repeating what he heard. He was unlearned.
It was wrong.
He couldn't read or write, so he was only
It is
repeating.
wrong.
He was only repeating what was revealed to him through the
Kenny.
angel Gabriel. That's just the fact.
Shut up.
So for one, I'm a grown man. You don't tell me to shut up. You don't tell me
I'm
to shut
telling
up.
you to shut
No,
up.
you don't tell me
because
to
at the
shut
moment
up.
You're going on my tits.
Rob,
Because
look,
what you
look.
are doing is you're just carrying on and
Now note that this guy's using an anonymous name, and most people who get on the internet and they try to build this persona for themselves, they hide their names. They don't give their real name. My real name is Kenny Bomer. My Muslim name is Mujahid Al-Islam. You can call me either one. Doesn't matter. Here I am, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, have nothing to hide. Yet during the video, this interaction with these guys, they tried to attack my personal life and trying to claim that I've been to prison, that I accepted Islam in prison. I've never been to prison. Don't have any felony charges against me. I've never been convicted of any felony. I had 4 felony charges filed on me by a family member that I was freed of, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I've never been to prison, and I have nothing to hide. And I actually address all these issues in my book, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, the book titled Consider Islam. So let's pick back up and listen to what these guys are saying. And he's telling me to shut up, which most of these people are cowards. They would never say such a thing in person. Even if they would, I would try to conduct myself as a Muslim should, never become the aggressor. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. But it's very difficult to listen to people talk in this manner and attack Islam, and they begin to use red herrings and ad hominem and straw man fallacies and attack me personally and my character and trying to discredit me, trying to discredit Islam. They do this day in, day out, every week, and it's really sickening. Sickening to me. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It gets me a little bit flustered. Let's listen.
What I'm telling you is stuff that you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear.
you are not telling me stuff I don't want to hear. You're talking rubbish.
I'm telling you what you don't want to hear. I'm making you look like a fool in the process, because what it boils down to is you don't want to know the truth. And so you're going to
Give me the truth. Okay, tell me what smoke is. What is smoke?
Look,
tell me what smoke is.
Dr. Alfred Kroner, the book that I'm holding in my hand, he can tell you what smoke is. I suggest you pick up any writings by Dr. Alfred
Show me
Kroner
where he says what smoke is.
About this information, and he'll give you the information. I've given you a source. I've read a couple of quotes that he's given, and you're trying to take what he said out of context. He's trying to say that a mere man could not know this. Only our God, our Creator. Right. A man didn't know this. But the fact that he revealed this, that it was revealed in the Qur'an over 1,400 years ago, before modern technology could prove it, is
what is it?
Proof of the fact.
What is it? What is
about
it?
the gaseous state of the universe before
Where does
the
it say
universe
gaseous
began?
state of the universe?
Dr. Alfred Kroner. I've given you a source.
In the Quran. Where does the Quran talk about the gaseous state of the universe?
Oh, my goodness gracious. Apparently you don't hear very well.
Where does the Quran talk about the gaseous state
I
of the universe?
already gave you the verse. I gave you the surah and the verse.
It doesn't say gaseous
41,
state, it
11.
says smoke.
Right,
It
that's
says smoke.
smoke. What is smoke? It's inevitably gas, right? If this,
No,
this
that is
for
wrong.
one, for
You see,
one,
this is-
hold on,
this is
hold on.
wrong.
What's not wrong is this is just a translation of what's said. Another translation may say something different.
Yeah, but Kenny, we can't rely on what other translations say. You said the
Okay, well, let's not rely upon what other translations say, Rob. How about we go to one of these translations, shall we? What does it say here? It says vapor. Do you see that, Rob? I know you're going to watch this at some point. What does this translation say, Rob? Let's go ahead and zoom in on it. What does this translation say, Rob? It says, cloud of gases. And he directed his knowledge, willpower, and favor to the heaven when it was a cloud of gases. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So, no, we shouldn't rely upon just one translation, Rob. But I repeat, the Quran is only the Quran in the Arabic language when it's being recited. It's not paper and ink. It's not paper and ink. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It's not paper and ink. Therefore, you can't touch the word of our God, our Creator. Let's keep listening.
What I'm saying is that because whoever translated this particular verse, if they chose to use the word smoke versus the word gas, then that's their mistake. Okay?
What is dukan?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, so you don't speak Arabic?
I don't know what that word is. I speak Arabic. You want to hear me speak Arabic?
It's smoke. It's the Arabic for smoke.
Kenny, there's the word smoke. Can
Okay.
you see it on screen? There's the word smoke.
Right.
Hey, Rob, once again, guess what? There's the word gases. Hey, Rob, there's the word gases. Do you see it? Absolutely. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And once again, that's in the translation by Ali Unal. You see it right here, Rob? Take a good look at it. Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, our Creator.
There's the word. These are three of the most well-known translations on Quran X here. All three of them.
Okay, so what you're doing is nitpicking because what is smoke inevitably? It's a gaseous material.
You said
hold on,
nitpicking.
hold on.
You said
What's-
scientific.
What comes out?
Science, nitpicks.
Hold on. What comes out of your exhaust system? You see it as smoke, right? But
Well, what comes out of your exhaust system? Well, let's see what these people use in regards to making the I googled difference between gas and smoke. I already knew the difference. I just googled this for the reference for this video. And what do they have here? A vehicle, a car, a 4x4 rather, mud hogging, whatever you want to refer to it as. And what do you see? A bunch of smoke. And why? It says many people are confused between smoke and fume because of their similarities. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Let's pick it back up.
inevitably, it's a gaseous material, right? Same thing.
That's incorrect.
No, it's not. It's not.
It is, because it contains particles.
Right. It
Smoke
contains
is
particles.
particulate.
Right. And so I'm not. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to debate with you about that.
That is
Clearly
very
you're not
obvious.
scientist.
But what you are doing is you're making
but as a matter of
statements
fact,
about science.
you're not a scientist, and therefore
Well, I am. I have 2 degrees,
two
which say
degrees.
the opposite.
You have 2 degrees from what university?
Who the fuck cares?
Right,
Tell me
exactly.
what smoke is and show me somebody
exactly.
who says smoke.
All I want to, I'll take what you're saying to heart if you tell me what university. That's simple. If you
Why?
what does it matter? Why would you not tell?
Yes, what does it matter exactly? Why are you asking?
Well, why it matters is because if people are going to make claims as though they're knowledgeable about a particular topic, then we need to find out what their credentials are. And obviously, this guy is he's operating under an anonymous name. He doesn't want to give his name or his credentials, most likely because he doesn't have any credentials. But he's coming on the show as though he's an authority on Islam and all these different subjects that they cover week in, week out. Let's keep listening.
Because it's plain and simple. If you're going to make a claim, I want you to prove your claim. I
No,
don't
your
believe
claim is that it's accurate. Your
Right
claim
now, I
is-
don't believe you. I don't believe you've gone to a university, and I don't believe you have any degrees in this field. I think you're
Okay,
lying.
I don't have any degrees.
Right.
You said that the
you're lying,
Quran is
So
accurate.
everything that you're saying is illegitimate because I think you're
You
lying.
said that the Quran is accurate.
I-
You said that the Quran is accurate.
Right.
You said the Quran is accurate.
Absolutely.
Prove it.
Absolutely. I don't have to prove it. It proves itself.
Okay, so you can't prove it. So you first say you believe in scientific miracles because it's accurate on a scientific level. Then when I show you smoke is not scientifically accurate, it is a mistake in the Quran, then
It's
you
not a
say,
mistake in
well,
the
I don't
Quran.
have to explain anything.
It's not a mistake in the Quran. Your understanding of what smoke is may be the issue.
Hey, what do y'all have to say now about the fact that this right here says what? Gases, right? And what translation of the Quran is it in? That it is actually right here in my hand. I had it right sitting right beside me once again during that conversation with you guys. And what does it say? It says gases, right? Right. Because simple logic dictates that smoke and gases have similar makeup. That's just. Are you kidding me? You don't understand the concept behind that? Well, a lot of other people do. Alhamdulillah. Let's keep listening.
Because I don't believe that you've gone to a university and have studied.
Look, Kenny, you don't need to go to university to know that smoke is particulate. Gas is not. You don't need to go to university to know that. Forget this university line.
For one,
grow up.
Don't speak to me disrespectfully, okay?
Well, you pay a bit of respect.
No,
you're showing very little respect. You're showing very little respect.
No, what I'm doing is I'm defending Islam against Islamophobes and those who attack Islam. You are because you do this day in every week. You do this.
So at that point, they actually kicked me off of the show. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And they usually have an after show. They actually ended their show at that point. Rob was actually frustrated, and Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. You know why they were frustrated? Because I gave them a good spanking by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I did it despite their efforts to try to discredit me and their rude comments, and they're trying to divert this topic, trying to divert this, trying to say that the scientists are of no significance and that the Quran made mistakes. The Quran hasn't had one mistake proven, nor does it have any mistakes over 1,400 years. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. These clowns on this show are certainly not going to prove the Quran wrong. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, our creator. So I just want to leave you by a series of verses from the Quran in Surah An-Nabiyah, verses 30 through 41, 23rd chapter of the Quran. Pay close attention to what it's saying, because it's speaking to these individuals and individuals like them that are all part of their puppet show. Praise be to Allah. So listen to what it says. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. It says, "Do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and the earth were joined together as one unit of creation before we clove them asunder?" And it says, "We made from water every living thing." And how do we know that? Because modern science has confirmed that. But in the Quran, over 1,400 years ago, it says what? We made from water every living thing. Alhamdulillah. Will they not then believe? There's a miracle that is revealed in the Quran. And we have set on the earth mountains standing firm, lest it should shake with them. And we have made therein broad highways between the mountains for them to pass through. That they may receive guidance. The mountains are like pegs in the ground. As high as the mountains are above the ground, they're like pegs within the ground. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Modern science has confirmed this. This is what the Quran is talking about. Let's keep reading. And the rivers passing between them. And it says, "And we have made the heavens as a canopy," talking about the clouds, well guarded. We're well guarded with this canopy, protected from the rays of the sun. Another miracle of the Quran, alhamdulillah, revealed over 1,400 years ago. Yet they turn away from the signs which these things point to. Signs of the science in the Quran. Praise be to Allah. And it says, "It is He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, and all the celestial bodies that swim along, each in its own rounded course." Let me make note of the sun in particular. People try to claim that the sun isn't in an orbit. Modern science confirms that the sun is actually in an orbit. It takes millions of years for the sun to make this orbit, but the sun itself, alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, is in an orbit. And so it says, "We grant it not to any man before the permanent life here." So no man's going to keep living forever. It says, "And then thou shouldest die then, excuse me, Alhamdulillah, it says, if then thou shouldst die, would they live permanently? These people who are making these claims, you think you're going to live forever? And so every soul shall have a taste of death, and we test you by evil and by good, by way of trial. To us must you return. Alhamdulillah. When the unbelievers see thee, they treat thee not except with ridicule. That's what they've done to me on the show. For 2 hours they tried to ridicule me and ridicule Islam. It says, when the unbelievers see thee, they treat thee not except with ridicule. Is this, they say, the one who talks of your gods? And they blaspheme. It says, and they blaspheme at the mention of Allah, the most gracious, Ar-Rahman, the Rahim. It says, man is a creature of haste. Soon enough will I show you my signs. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking to mankind. It says, man is a creature of haste. Soon enough will I show you my signs. Then you will not ask me to hasten them. They say, when will this promise come to pass? The ones who are claiming they want to see these signs, if you're telling the truth. And it says, if only the unbelievers knew the time when they had, if only the unbelievers knew the time when they will not be able to ward off the fire from their faces, nor yet from their backs, and when no help can reach them. Nay, it may come to them all of a sudden and confound them. No power will they have then to avert it, nor will they then get respite. Mocked were many messengers before thee. I'm talking about many messengers before the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But their scoffers were hemmed in by the thing that they mocked. Praise be to Allah. Those who mocked the Prophet Moses were condemned where? In the Red Sea, as they drowned in the Red Sea by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just on and on and on. I'm just using that as an example. Those who mocked the Prophet Noah Al-Islam, and made mockery of him and claimed he was a crazy man because he was building an ark in the desert that never received one drop of rain. What did they do? They felt the retribution of their mockery in the flood. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It says, say, who can keep you safe by night and by day from the wrath of Allah, the most gracious? It says, yet they turn away from the mention of their Lord. These people who unbelieve, they don't believe in our God, our Creator. They just turn away from the mention of Him, unless they're attacking. Or have they gods that can guard them from us? They have no power to aid themselves, nor can they be defended from us. Nay, we gave the good things of this life to these men and their families until the period grew long for them. See they not that we gradually reduced the land in their control from its outlying borders? Guess what? There's so many miracles. This is another mentioning of the fact that the land mass is actually receding. Look it up. It's in science. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Gradually reducing the land in their control from its outlying borders. Is it then they who will win? Say, I do but warn you according to Revelation. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, all you people on the Jinn and Tonic Show. This is the Qur'an speaking to you. And Alhamdulillah it says, say, I do not warn you according to Revelation, but the deaf will not hear the call. Even when they are warned, if but a breath of the wrath of thy Lord do touch them, they will then say, woe to us. We did wrong indeed. We shall set up scales of, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about the day of judgment. Praise be to Allah. He says, we shall set up scales of justice for the day of judgment, so that no soul will be dealt with unjustly in the least. And if there be no more than the weight of a mustard seed, we will bring it to account, and enough are we to take account. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Gentlemen, on the Jinn and Tonic Show, and anyone who are their followers, I bear witness there's no God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I bear witness that the day of judgment is coming. You're not going to be able to run and hide from it. You didn't create yourself. You don't choose the day that you're going to die. There is a God, a creator. These signs of science are in the Quran. You have to open your mind to be willing to engage yourself in true study and research, and stop playing games with one another as you support your Islamophobic beliefs. Praise be to Allah. You are Islamophobes, there's no doubt about it. Rob, you are the leader of the bunch, because this is your show, the Jinn and Tonic Show. I'm speaking directly to you. And the other guys, I don't know who you really are. Because why? Because you hide yourselves. I'm Kenny Bomer. My Muslim name is Mujahid Al-Islam. I'm one who does fight indeed for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the cause of Islam, and we do it in the most respectful manners and try to. The Quran says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and kind words. I tried my best during that interaction with these guys to just try to be peaceful, try to control myself. It's the month of Ramadan on top of that, and so I didn't want to be engaged in any argument. But we should engage in debate with these individuals and try to reveal the truth of Islam by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bear witness there's once again no God other than our God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's our God, our creator, and I bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is the last and the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask you to subscribe, like, and share this video for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the sake of Islam, and we have to shut these atheists down. Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. There's no doubt about it. You cannot stop it. Praise be to Allah. And matter of fact, those verses regarding the shrinking of their banks, it's also talking about the shrinking of atheism in the world and other religions, where Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. Praise be to Allah. So their banks are receding. The earth itself, the landmass of the earth is actually receding. Did you know that? Look it up. So there's dual meanings into this. Your efforts in your efforts in these types of shows and this propaganda and all this nonsense that you spew nonstop is actually being diminished, because as you do this, people are looking into the beauty of Islam. I ask anyone who's listening to just stop, think, and actually use logic, ponder and reflect, do true research, and do what? Consider Islam. Praise be to Allah. I'll leave you by saying Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.